We will now have Adriano Picinati, who is one of the key organizers also of this conference, who will speak about the possibilities of art investment in Luxembourg.
So hi everybody. So I think it's already quite late, but I think we have a great session so far. So I will try to have as dynamic presentation as possible to keep you alive. So the purpose of my presentation mainly is to, based on what we have discussed today, is to see what are the potential opportunities for Luxembourg following the development of financial art services. To do that, my presentation will be mainly divided in 4 sections. I will do first a recap of what we've been through. Afterwards, I will discuss the potential positioning for Luxembourg. Afterwards, the potential action Luxembourg could take. And finally, what could be the potential benefit for Luxembourg. So, what were the objectives of this conference today? First, we wanted to increase your awareness and understanding about this new global trend, positioning art as a new asset class. I hope we have achieved it, so thank you very much, all of you, because it was really enlightening. Thank you so much. Secondly, and that's from my presentation, we would like to stimulate your awareness about the accessible business opportunities for Luxembourg financial marketplace, and of course also for its creative sector. And if we are in line on point 1 and point 2, you will understand why we think it could be probably interesting for Luxembourg to initiate a process to evaluate how best to position Luxembourg as an art financial cluster. Briefly going through what we have discussed today, so first Professor Beaulieu introduced us what's the evolution of art market. Jan Robertson talked about the state of the art market. Rachel talked about the quantitative factors of the art market. Randolph mentioned some aspects regarding the new art financial services and also how banks are integrating that into their offering. And afterwards, just to tell you that this is not pure fiction, we had 2 case studies where they presented what they are doing in that domain. And from there, I think, so the 3 main conclusions that probably we can take is that first, the art market, there's a financiarization of the art market. Secondly, art is increasingly becoming a new alternative asset class. And finally, new niche of financial services are in development, targeting private banks, high net worth individuals, fund managers, family offices. In terms of categories of art financial services in development, we have mainly 3 categories. We have been through all of them already, so I will be brief on those. So the first one is art advisory services. Mainly this trend is to respond to the development of non-financial lifestyle services. Wealth management tends to offer an holistic approach to their customers. So basically this service looks at offering to customer service to create their own collection, to manage their own collection, but also to structure their collection in case, for example, of inheritance, of donation, philanthropy. The second main categories of art financial services is the art financing services. There, basically, the trend is to respond to that art is more and more becoming a working asset, so it's used as collateral in order to increase your leverage. And finally, much newer is art investment services. And there, clearly, that's what we discussed today, is the fact that art is becoming more and more a new alternative asset class. And the 3 main services that we can see there is portfolio management. You incorporate art into your portfolio. It's the creation of art fund of art fund. We do not have any case right now, but they may come. We had a tentative in the past with ABN AMRO, but it was too early. And finally, we have securitization of art collection. So from there, we understand that all those services are in direct line with the current service offering of Luxembourg. So if Luxembourg would like to position itself as an art financial center, this will create incredible opportunities for its art cluster, but also for wealth management and investment fund activities. Zooming a little bit on the investment funds. So we mentioned 2 times that there are around 50 investment funds in the world so far. Here I've just listed 25, all are in different shapes. But what is important to know is that this is really a new trend. Even if we had already some cases in the past, the first case was in 1902 with Skin of the Bear. We had a really well-known case with the British Rail Pension Trust. We had even a case in Luxembourg in the 90s. But what is important is that all the funds that you have there are extremely recent. And of course, this is global, it's all around the world, it's growing, you have more and more initiatives, and it's in straight line with wealth management new needs of opportunities. So this represents, of course, a potential strategic opportunity for Luxembourg, and the question is why we should look at it. To answer to that questions, we need to look at different things. So we will look at the competitiveness on the financial center side, we will look at the art financial needs, and also at the strengths of Luxembourg. In terms of international financial centers, we understand that the competition there is extremely tough. Each centers try to get a bigger share of the global financial cake. You have the emergence of new financial centers. You have strategic planning by major cities to maintain and to develop their financial centers. And of course, you have the development of pool of expertise with regional or worldwide focus. Luxembourg is a pure case of that with cross-border distribution of investment funds. Looking at on the art financial needs, we know that there is a clusterization of financial activities. This is a reality. That art activities follow the same pattern, and normally all those art financial services will follow the same trend. So they will flourish in business environment that are the best effective for them. Luxembourg, of course, I will not go through that. Number one in cross-border distribution, activity in wealth management, extremely proactive ministries, proactive legal and regulatory environment. Also, it's centrally located in the biggest art market in the world, Europe included UK. So I think what we can retain from that is that Luxembourg is also looking for new niche of activities. So it makes sense to look at those services. Luxembourg has the capacity to create attractive business environment. It did it in the past for other activities, financial activities. And of course, Luxembourg has already key advantages for proactive positioning. Additionally, if we looked at the art investment performance criteria for location, we understand that Luxembourg meets all these criteria. There is an economic interest for those services to develop in Luxembourg due to the financial activities that you have here. The transaction costs are low. Luxembourg is the fourth most competitive country in the world. There is a demand concentration due to the fact that you have the presence of institutional investors, high net worth individuals. There is a strong rivalry in Luxembourg due to the fact that you have many banks, many investment management companies, and this creates a powerful catalyst for innovation. Finally, in terms of supporting activities, Luxembourg has already demonstrated in the past that is this ability to build up service offering. And finally, we have proactive ministries in Luxembourg. So the real question is not really, should we do it or not for Luxembourg, but more, how could Luxembourg become a prime location for art financial services? And secondly, what could be, on the long run, the positive economic and social cultural impact for Luxembourg? And I will try to respond first to the first question, of course, and my last slide will be for the last questions. So to look at the potential positioning for Luxembourg, so, we looked at the optimal environment, which is an art financial cluster. So an art financial cluster is composed of three functionalities: financial functionalities, art functionalities, and supportive functionalities. And in each functionalities, you have a series of activities. Looking at the financial functionality, there you have private banking, asset management, wealth management, investment fund administration. All those activities are in Luxembourg. But probably there's room for improvement in terms of art knowledge, how to deal with art. In terms of art functionality, there you have art expert, auction houses, packaging, restoration, warehousing, authentication, and as we have already mentioned before, we have probably more room for improvement on that side if Luxembourg wants to position itself as a leading art financial center. On the supportive functionality, same thing. So we have all these activities in Luxembourg. The focus needs to be put on art. So we understand that most of the basic components are already present in Luxembourg. But if Luxembourg wants to become a prime location for art financial services, it will have to develop activities, it will have to develop capabilities, and also competitive advantages. Indeed, A highly performing and attractive art financial cluster will offer specific capabilities and competitive advantage. And I'm going to show some examples. For example, in terms of art and finance knowledge, you will find in an art financial cluster dedicated research team within various stakeholders, specific apprenticeship program, international conference, seminars. In terms of custom and tax environment, you will have the least constringent custom environment in this art financial cluster. You will have special tax regime. You will have free port. You will have specific regime for artists. In terms of art handling services, you will have storage facilities, combining maybe free port benefits, exhibition centers, museum services. And if we go even further, we could think of having, for example, an international central good depository offering book entry and reducing counterparty risk, which is similar to an ICSD, but here for tangible goods. And of course, you need to have advanced logistical network. In terms of legal environment, so most likely an art financial cluster will try to minimize the impact of the resale profit sharing rights. It will offer the best securitization law. It will have flexible law for the handling of goods, such as creditor with a non-possessory security interest. This exists in France, but not yet in Luxembourg. You will have a law on art export. You will have efficient sales and purchase networks. That means that you will have auction houses, dealers, galleries, art fairs in the location. And of course, you will have local art specialists such as art valuation expert, restoration specialist, authorship identification specialist. So from that, we understand that if Luxembourg wants to adopt a proactive positioning, Luxembourg needs to address a certain number of strategic questions to understand what it needs to develop. And I think we have at least 5 strategic questions that needs to be answered for this strategic positioning for Luxembourg. The first one is to understand what is the status of the home market, what is the current state of the professional skill set in art investment management in Luxembourg. The second question is to understand what are the drivers to attract art investment professionals and art investment funds to Luxembourg. So what are the performance drivers and location criteria for art investment professionals and art investment funds to locate their activities? Finally, you need to understand the competition. So you will have to look at the level of competition that exists in other financial centers. And once you have answered to 1, 2, and 3, you can answer to question 4, which is, what are the activities, capabilities, and business conditions that will create an attractive business environment for art investment? And when you have answered to question 1, 2, 3, and 4, of course, you can answer to question 5, which is, what is the rollout plan Luxembourg should deploy to become a leading art financial center? So, of course, to do this, there's, of course, a need for business intelligence and market evaluation to develop this proactive positioning. And we think this is not mission impossible. We think that this could be achieved probably in the next 12 months. And what we could propose as an initial plan is that maybe we can have, for example, the sponsorship of the government and the key stakeholders. We can set up a steering committees with those people. We can present the objective and the methodology of a study, and we could start, for example, the study by the end of the year. And during next year, during the next 8 months, we could do the study, and we can start with the intelligence gathering, the strategic analysis, followed by the definition of the strategic model, the definition of the rollout plan, and finally, to convene all of you next year at the same date to present you the result of this study. And from there, we can have an implementation plan, an implementation phase. So now the last question, so what are the benefits for Luxembourg to do that? So, and that's a long-term vision, of course. But this could position Luxembourg as a leading art financial marketplace, which means that it will gain a new market specialization. It will create a fit between its current activities, of course. It will develop a new core competency. It will create a sustainable competitive advantage. And as we have seen before, you cannot do that without developing the Luxembourg art cluster, meaning by that by developing this vision on the financial sector, you will also develop your art cluster. And this could create, at the end, an attractive area in Europe for art trading. You can also develop in Luxembourg the that Luxembourg become the center for administrative tasks of the European commercial art market. Of course, this could boost the boost Luxembourg creative and cultural offering, and of course provide diversification for Luxembourg economy. It's extremely important that this is a win-win process. It's really a mutually supportive strategy that is going to boost the two activities, the financial one and the art one. And of course, we have discussed about art, but this is applicable to all type of collectible investment. So this is, you can create critical mass behind, and so Luxembourg could become a leading financial collectible investment marketplace. And if you create, I would say, clever synergies between, for example, the financial sector and museum, you can even increase Luxembourg as a touristic destination. You can promote the positive image of Luxembourg. You can improve the quality of life in Luxembourg. And finally, attract more high net worth individual and ultra high net worth individual to live in Luxembourg. So, and this is the end of my presentation. So the conclusion is that Luxembourg already today has a unique opportunity to develop new financial activities for art and collectible investment, which match perfectly with its current business model. And I think it would be interesting to launch this analysis and to look at it more deeply. Thank you very much for your attention.